All right, guys. So Oscar and I were thinking it would be kind of interesting to take a look at all the spoilers thus far that have been revealed for Opus 27, and kind of go through and give some thoughts on kind of the spoiler itself, but almost since this is going to be like the set that comes out for Worlds, and it's going to be a very like compact meta, meaning there's not going to be any like majorly public tournaments that are going to use this set in particular. Thought it'd be kind of interesting to rattle off what we thought the likelihood of seeing these cards in a Worlds format. So we're basically trying to guess whether the greatest minds in the game, so to speak, are going to be privy to use these cards. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and start off and say this Ifrit is... I think it's probably likely to see play. The reason is because if people get a little aggressive with their decks, I think this is another 1 CP Magissa activator. So early in the game, you're going to be able to activate Magissa really quickly, and then late in the game, you're going to be able to use it as a card that can potentially, clear forward off the field, something like that. So I do think that this card is going to see some level of play. Likelihood, I'd say like probably a 2 out of 5. Like I'm not putting a whole bunch of stock in it. I think Magissa has kind of been a little bit under the radar lately for whatever reason, this, that, or the other. But I do think that this is a really interesting card specifically for that. I don't know. Oscar's kind of our resident Magissa player. I don't know if he has any thoughts on the Ifrit, but I think that it's a pretty interesting card.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool as an EX, so if you're getting attacked, then you might have a potential Magissa activator. My only thing is it's not really gonna... If you're going into Bosch and then taking the extra point of damage and it is this, maybe you get to ping something on your opponent's side of the field, but if you've already pinged Magissa, you're not going to do it again. So
yeah,
the EX really doesn't affect that, but
yeah,
it still will be played.
Yeah. So next we have Ace. I'm saying this is a 0 out of 5. I don't foresee this card being played whatsoever. It's a little expensive for what it does, in my opinion, and I think there are just better aces out there. Whether you're on Fire Lightning or Wind Lightning, I just think there's better aces for you to be using. One of the most prevalent names when it comes to cadets and putting him on a backup, in my opinion, is not the way to play cadets. But again, Oscar's kind of our resident cadet player here.
Yeah, I've been preaching about Ace for a long time. If you're going to print another Ace, they need to print it with the S ability. Even if with it being the backup, if you decided to play a backup first, then all the other Aces that you draw into, you have an S fodder for. And it can be as simple as S, dull him, and then shoot something for like 8k. But, they never do it.
Yeah.
So... We'll see.
The one thing I do like is it is put Ace into the break zone style effect. So, it doesn't necessarily clog your name usage. Like, there is a way out of it. But I would feel very bad to pay 6 CP to shoot something for 9k and then pay effectively 2 CP and put him into the break zone to deal something 5k. So, over the course of 8 CP... Not even counting the 2 CP that he costed in hand. If you want to talk about full CP cost, 10 CP to deal 14,000 damage is not a good rate, in my opinion. I don't like it. Moving on to Guy. So I think this guy is, pun intended, going to see a little bit of play. So he's searchable off of Tyvis. He plays Firion. And he already is going to do what Firion is doing anyways. So when he enters the field, you play a forward of cost 2 or less. It helps you get Firion onto the field. It helps you get Zidane onto the field. In a Warrior Shell, this is a very interesting card. And then at the end of the turn, if you already control 4 or more forwards, you get to draw a card. So I think this guy's like, I'm going to say like a 4 out of 5. I think this guy's going to see quite a bit of play.
Yeah, I think he'll at least be a one of in some warrior builds, especially the builds that will run the Firewind Zidane.
Yep.
That's just another way to get it out.
Yep. It's kind of hard to play Firewind Zidane in a traditional warriors deck. You're kind of relying on cards like, Edgar or whatever, avenue you're taking to get him onto the field. But it's typically not something that you hard cast. And this being another way to play him onto the field is just icing on the cake. Next we have Gulur Jaja. I'm assuming that's how that's pronounced. So 3 CP King. When he deals damage to a forward, choose one other forward your opponent controls, deal the same amount of damage. This ability will only activate once per turn. And how is he dealing the damage? Well, at damage 5, when he enters the field, you choose a forward your opponent controls, deal at 7k. So at damage 5, it's 3 CP to deal 14,000 damage. How interesting, because the ace that we just talked about was 10 CP to deal 14,000 damage. This is technically 5 CP if you want to go the same math that we did there, but what I'm getting at is this is already better than the ace that we just talked about. I don't think this sees any play whatsoever. I mean, in a pinch, I could maybe see Magissa trying to pull this out, but it's too late game. It's too far behind. It's not going to bring you like back into the game, I don't think, enough to even slot it into Magissa, so I don't even see it, being prevalent there either.
Yeah, definitely not. I don't think it'll see any play. Cool thing is, though, it does, if its job is king, that's pretty crazy, because I think Edgar is a king, so like when you search off of, was it Kolka?
Yeah, so Fire Earth. Yeah.
Claris, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Claris. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, there's some, and Sarah. The Sarah backup can search a king, prince, or princess. So there's some search targeting there. We have Zonde next. So when he enters the field, you name a job. All the forwards with that named job that your opponent controls lose all their abilities till the end of the turn. That is the ultimate middle finger to knights. I was thinking about this card today. And then at the beginning of the attack phase, during each of your turns, you can choose a forward your opponent controls, deal it 9,000 damage, you draw 1, discard 1. If you discarded a card named Zonde, you get to trigger it again. So the more that I think about this card, the more I kind of like it. I don't think it sees very much play, though. I think it's one of those cards that people are going to not really put too much stock in, and I don't blame them. But I do think it's a very interesting card in that it does kind of screw over knights. It does kind of screw over Warrior Light. And it's almost a new spin on like Shadow Lord. Like it's not gonna be a complete board clear like Shadow Lord, but it does help kind of get rid of. Wait, is it Shadow Lord's the one that targets the jobs, right? What's the other one that targets?
Yeah.
What's the one that targets things? Oh, Titan is the one that does the things that are less powerful than he is.
Yeah.
So anyways, I do like this card. I think it's actually a pretty interesting card. I just don't think there's enough card name Zondes to warrant playing it. Like, the other card name Zondes aren't nearly as impactful, I would say. So, I don't think it's going to see play.
Yeah. Nah, definitely not.
Next we have Jack. So, Warp 2 for a fire and a colorless. When he enters the field, select one of the two following actions. Choose one forward, deal at 8k, and then deal 5k to all the forwards that your opponent controls. So I think this card would have been way better if it entered due to warp. You got to choose both actions. Even then, though, I still don't think that I would play it. I don't think it's going to see play. I really don't. Deal 5k to all the forwards your opponent controls is interesting, but again, I just don't think that it's too expensive, and it's way. I don't know. Warp 2 is kind of cool if you're playing like a deck that's got a bunch of weenies, like maybe Vikings or something, deal 5k to all those in 2 turns, like, hey, that's kind of cool, but I just don't see it seeing play.
Yeah, it's probably not going to see much.
Next, we do have Terra. So when Terra enters the field, you reveal the top 2 cards of your deck. You add a fire and a wind or lightning card among them. So interestingly, you have to pick 1 fire, up to 1 fire, and then you can pick a wind or a lightning, which is a really weird way to word that. But anyways, so you can add those to your hand and put the rest into the break zone. So it is kind of like a tiny little mill engine, which is interesting. But then when you cast a wind or a lightning card, you may dual active Terra, and when you do, choose a forward, deal it 8k. I do like this card. I don't know where she fits, though, is going to be the problem. I don't think like maybe cadets could play this, but it just doesn't feel necessary in cadets. Like, I just don't think that it's like in a spot. Like, I'm trying to think of other fire lightning decks that may would want to play her, but I just don't see any of them. And then you have fire wind, which is just non-existent at this point. This card, when it was initially revealed, gave me a lot of hope that fire wind would get some sort of backup chain or something like that, and we just haven't seen it yet. I'm hopeful, but we just still haven't seen it. I just don't think this sees play simply because it doesn't have a spot yet.
Yeah, I was hoping that it would say ice instead of wind or lightning, just so that it would be a card that you can play in Cat 6. But,
exactly.
I don't really know where it's going to play.
That was going to be another point, is this card doesn't even really synergize with anything Cat 6 related either. So, I mean, what are you hoping that, when your Mobius enters the field, you get to ping something for 8k? I just don't see it. Next, we have a Fire Elemental. So when Fire Elemental enters the field, choose a forward, deal it 5k. And then for a fire, tap it and put it into the break zone. You choose a forward, deal it 8k. So oddly enough, this is almost like the antithesis of Ace. It's 5 CP instead of 6 CP. It's a monster instead of a backup. I get it. But on enter, it deals 5k. On exit, it deals 8k. Whereas Ace, on enter, deals 9k. And on exit, deals 5k. So I feel the exact same way about it as I do with Ace. I think it's overcosted, and I think it's irrelevant at this point. Can you imagine paying 5 CP to ping Megissa?
Yeah, it's a little much.
0 out of 5 for me. No. Next we have Luneth. So I kind of like this Luneth. So when Luneth enters the field, reveal the top card of your deck. If it is a character of 3 or less, play it onto the field. And it has a special for a copy of Luneth and a fire CP. All the forwards of cost 3 or less you control gain haste until the end of the turn. I adore this card. The more I think about it, the more possibilities that kind of come up. Think like the Viking OTK deck that has rain in it. This literally plays your entire deck. You could make a fire, water, Viking OTK deck, which is really interesting. I don't know. I think this card is really, really cool. It does not fit in a Warrior Light Shell, in my opinion. I think the backup Luneth is so important to that deck in terms of fire CP. Even if you're swinging into the Bart's version, I think the 2 CP backups are immensely powerful, and I don't know that there's a world where Warrior Light shifts into a 4 CP Luneth forward, and it's 5,000 power. I mean, it's got a lot of things wrong with it to fit into the Warrior Light Shell, in my opinion. Against a traditional Refia, it's going to die to a 4-color wall ping. It's got a lot of things wrong with it in that shell, in my opinion. But I think it's a very interesting Luneth for rogue decks, is what I'm leaning towards.
Yeah, same thing. I just don't know where you're gonna play it.
Yeah, I don't think it sees play at Worlds, personally. I hope it does, because it's a beautiful full art as well. Next we have General Leo, so 5 CP forward, that's a 9k. When General Leo enters the field, you may play one job standard unit forward of 5 or less from your hand onto the field. And then for a fire CP, you can choose a forward and deal it 1000 damage. So, my thought here is that this never sees play. But I think it's interesting because you basically get your 5 CP right back that you pay for it. So if you want to call it realized cost of 7 CP, you technically paid 2 CP for this plus a standard unit forward. And as long as your standard unit forward is 5 CP, you technically paid 2 CP for 2 forwards. So on average, you paid 1 CP for a 9k and then whatever else you got, you know? I think that's pretty good value. I don't think there's any good standard unit forwards of 5 or less that we like want to be playing, especially in fire right now. Although I will bring up, I think this is kind of cheeky if we want to go back to a fire earth build instead of a wind earth build of Dataluma deck. Then you can choose 1/4, deal it 1k, and you can machine gun off your Dataluma. But other than that, I don't think it sees play.
Yeah, same.
Next we have Alone. So we're starting to get into some Final Fantasy VIII stuff. So 2 CP backup when Alone, you tap her, remove her from the game. Choose a category A forward you control, it gains plus 2000, and when this forward attacks, you draw a card. This effect does not end at the end of the turn, and you can only use this ability during your turn. So the first thing that I thought of with this card is it's kind of a letdown. Alone could have been such a massive search card for category 8, just based on kind of her in the story, but it's beautiful full art. But I just don't think this card is going to see much play. If we were to get a category 8 forward that did something really cool on attack, like draw a card in and of itself, then making it draw 2 cards is even better. We do have the Opus 18 Gilgamesh, which can attack twice, so effectively getting 2 draws. So that's kind of cool. But outside of that, I mean, you know, swinging with Seifer, break a forward, draw a card, that's cool. Don't get me wrong. But I gave up a backup for it. I effectively paid 3 CP for it. And I just don't know that, like, that forward's going to have a target on its back from that point forward. And I mean, we're already in such a, like, let's have something in our deck that can kill every single thing anyways. I just don't think that just because this effect doesn't end at the end of the turn doesn't give it a lot of... It's not going to stick around for long. I just don't think you're going to get too much value out of it, which is disheartening.
Yeah, I agree. I think somebody will deal with that forward before you get to abuse it.
Yeah. Next we have Call. So this one is actually an interesting one, and I do think that this sees play. I'm going to call this like a 3, maybe even a 4 out of 5 in terms of likelihood to see play. So Fire Ice Warriors has started to kind of take shape and be kind of an interesting looking deck lately. So essentially, being a 2 CP warrior backup, you can search it off of your Tyvis and free play it. So you can, grab that ice CP that you need to hardcast Axstar if you ever had to, things like that. I think this does see play. It's not a very good card, but the fact that it's searchable, it's 2 CP, I think it'll see play in Warriors for sure.
Yeah, I think so as well.
Next we have Gesper, another category 8 card. So kind of hard to read just because the images that we have are a little finicky. But when Gesper enters the field, choose up to 2 forwards, dull him and freeze him. And then for an ice, tap and put him into the break zone, choose a dull forward and break it. So not as hot as the original Gesper, but definitely 4 CP to dull and freeze 2 forwards is okay. And then for an extra CP, tap and put him into the break zone to break a forward. So it seems like kind of a common theme for the monsters this set is that we're all kind of around that 4 to 5 CP range. If we go back up to Fire Elemental again, 5 CP, Fire, tap, put it into the break zone. Gesper is 4 CP, Ice, tap, put it in the break zone. We'll look at this Wind T-Rex in a bit, but 5 CP, Wind, tap, put it in the break zone. So they all kind of have this like theme of, pay 1 CP, dull it, put it in the break zone, do something. Gesper's probably the most attractive one thus far, but I just don't think it sees that much play. If this was 2 CP, choose a forward, dull it, and freeze it, and then maybe 2 CP, dull it, put it in the break zone, choose a dull forward and break it, I think it would see play. Possibly in some sort of realm shell, I could see that working, but being 4 CP, I just don't see it. I don't think it's played.
Yeah, probably not. I do think it would be cool to be able to figure out some kind of deck and the 5-drop ice forward that lets you replay.
Yeah, mained.
So you can, main and loop this somehow. That would be pretty sweet. But yeah, I don't see it seeing much play. Cool art though if it gets full arted.
Yeah, also true. Next we have Squall. So when Squall enters the field, reveal the top 3 cards of your deck, add a category 8 card among them to your hand, and return the others to the bottom of the deck. And then 1 CP tap, put him into the break zone. You can play a category 8 character of 4 or less from your hand onto the field, and you can only use this ability during your turn. So I don't know where I land on this Squall just yet, because I think this is a great companion to a category 8 deck. I like the other Opus 22, I believe it was, Opus 23, wherever that kind of set was. The 4 CP Squall that at the beginning of the attack phase plays a category 8 character, or a category 8 forward, I believe, of 4 or less. This is a little bit different because it's effectively 3 CP, 2 CP to cast him, 1 CP to activate the ability to play a character of 4 or less. But realized cost, of course, we're talking 5 CP total. So, I mean, you're not gaining like immense value off of it, but the fact that it adds a card back is really big. And then the fact that it can play a character, if we had a way to just give it haste, just straight up give it haste so that we can do that and kind of combo off, that'd be really nice. Other than that, I like the fact that it's an EX burst. I'm like 50-50 on this one. I don't think it sees much play at all. I'm going to maybe say like a 2 out of 5, probably a 1 out of 5, honestly. I just don't think it's likely this sees play.
Yeah, I'm not sure that it does. I don't really play much Cat 8, but it is pretty cool that it is the EX. And it kind of does refund itself, but yeah, not sure where it stands.
Yeah. I think they're pushing really, really hard for a Cat 8 tribal type of deck, kind of similar to how we had Cat 6 pushed back in like, Opus 19, between like Opus 16 and Opus 19-ish, somewhere running there. We started to get this huge influx of Category 6 cards, which eventually turned into the Category 6 deck that we had in Opus 19. It seems like we're kind of moving in that direction again with Squall and kind of this influx of cards that we've gotten over the last couple of sets, but it's dedicated to Cat 8 card. So, and Reveal 3 is really, really rough. So you're going to have to be playing a ton of Category 8 cards, and I just don't see it. I just don't see a dedicated Category 8 deck right now. Speaking of which, let's talk about Laguna. So Laguna, when he enters the field, you select one of the following 2. If he enters the field due to an ability of card named Squall, you can select 2 of the following 2. So choose a dull forward, break it, and your opponent discards a card. So obviously this is supposed to be a companion to the Squall that we just talked about, but the other Squall also plays this Laguna. So, I don't know why I'm not playing the old Squall. I don't know why I want to play the new Squall yet. So, I like this Laguna, actually. I like it quite a bit. I choose to dual forward, break it. I mean, that's not like a really difficult condition to hit, especially if your opponent is, attacking as they do to win the game. So in response to, them doing anything with their forwards that make them dull, obviously you can get benefit off of that. But I don't know. I'm not. I'm just not a big fan of the new Squall. I think this Laguna is best paired with the old Squall. Just my opinion. I don't think it sees play, though. I still don't think it sees play.
Yeah. No, I definitely don't think it does.
So then...
I could be wrong, though.
Well, so if we talk about Rain here, so I like this Rain. So when she enters the field, you choose one of the following. Search for a Laguna and add it to your hand. Or if you already control a Laguna, you can just pay 2 CP and when you do search for a Squall and play it onto the field. So I like that a lot. The thing is like obviously this Laguna, you kind of want it to be played off a Squall. And if you already control a Squall, then you're not really playing this and using that to play this onto the field. It's just kind of like, it's almost out of sequence a little bit. Like this Rain doesn't feel like it's supposed to be paired with this Laguna. I'm not really like, I love all the Category 8 art that we're getting. I'm not sold on like what they're doing yet. They're not hitting it.
I guess they want you to go Squall into Laguna, then Laguna into Rain, back into Squall.
Yeah, but that just I can't do all that in one turn, so I don't like it.
No.
Because as soon as I play this Squall, again, biggest target on his back ever, he's just going to immediately die before I get to use his effect. If he doesn't have haste, then it's just not going to work. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I don't think Rain sees play at all. Next we have Lock. So this one I kind of like. So Ice has had this issue for a while where the best strategy to play against Ice is to just play without a hand. And Lock kind of just punishes you for playing against it in the first place. So when Lock enters the field, your opponent draws a card and then randomly discards a card. So if you decide to go handless because my Biblos is, just tearing you apart, that's fine. When I play this Lock, I'm going to make you draw a card and then immediately discard it. So it's effectively a mill one, which I really do like. But then on top of that, when your opponent discards one or more characters due to your summons or abilities, you get to choose a character, dull it, and freeze it. But if they discard one or more summons due to your summons or abilities, you get to draw a card. So the fact that this forces you to draw and then discard is really, really cool. But then the fact that it has this field ability that does extra stuff is just icing on the cake. Now, 2 CP, 5k, he's going to die to a stiff breeze. But I really, really like this card. I think there's a chance that it sees play. I'm going to say probably a 3 out of 5. I don't think it's going to be like in every deck. I don't think it's going to break anything. But such a cool card. And I really want to find a way to break it and, loop it with Une or something like that. I think it would be really, really fun.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. Yeah, probably around the same for me.
I like the little Moogle in the background. Next we have T-Rexor. So this is a pretty infamous Category 8 monster. Oscar, I know Oscar hasn't played the game, but like in the first 20 minutes of the game, this is one of the things that you have to go fight inside the school that you start in and blah blah blah. So it's pretty iconic that we're getting a card with it. It's unfortunate that the card is completely just unplayable in my opinion. So 5 CP when it enters the field, choose up to 2 characters and activate them. So effectively 3 CP to play it. And then again, 1 wind, tap it, put it in the break zone, choose a forward of power 9,000 or more and break it. It's way too expensive. I just don't think that it sees play. It's way, way, way too expensive. Unless we get some kind of realm.
Yeah, definitely.
If we get a realm that's like, 6 CP and it plays a 5 CP monster and a 1 CP monster or something like that, I just don't see it. It's not gonna see play.
Yeah. Same.
Next we have Vaughn. So I don't want to get too lengthy, but I am getting extremely excited for the Sky Pirates. And it has to do with this Fran that's at the bottom right, which we'll talk about here in a second. But this Vaughn is actually really cool. So when Vaughn enters the field due to your cast, select one of the following 2 actions. Search for up to 3 Job Sky Pirate forwards and add them to your hand, which is absurd. Search for up to 2 Job Sky Pirate backups of cost 2 or less and play them onto the field, which is also absurd. So for effectively 9 CP, if we're going to call it that, right? You get to search for 6 CP and add it back to your hand. Or you get to search for basically 4 CP and play it onto the field. So either way, big like ramp ideas, big like tempo play. I really, really like this. 7 CP is kind of rough, I'll admit. 9,000 power though, it doesn't die to a mop. And the fact that it like adds all these cards to your hand is really cool. You can add specials because we all know there's a ton of different Sky Pirates out there. That there's not a ton of names though, so if there's any specials that you have, i.e. Vaughn himself, you can go ahead and search for those and prepare for subsequent turns or however you want to set that up. Or you can search for the backups of 2 or less and play them onto the field, i.e. the Fran that we'll talk about here in a minute. There's the Pinello. There's the, what is it? Isn't it Tomage the backup one? The wind or the water one?
Water, yeah.
Yeah. So I think this Vaughn is good. Really, really good. I think that it sees a little bit of play. I'm gonna say it's at a 3. I'm not gonna say it's gonna be everywhere, but I think there's a chance we'll see it.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool how it's leaning more towards the actual Sky Pirates versus the just Cat 12.
Yeah. If you play Final Fantasy TCG, there's a very good chance that you've purchased cards from Nerd Labs already. Nerd Labs has nearly 2,000 completed sales in just over the last 11 months or so, with overwhelmingly positive feedback. We're on TCG Player, but just as a little hint, if you follow the link in the description, there's no price floor when prices are updated on a daily basis. Always happy to support the stack. Let's get back to the video. The fact that this searches for Fran, the forward Fran, it searches for your Balthier. Like it goes and gets you all the pieces that you want to be able to do the stupid Fran stuff anyways, if you're going the Wind Earth version. It's kind of cool. Next, we're going to talk about 8. So, I actually really like this card. I've been on record multiple times in saying I'm not a Cadets fan whatsoever, but I do kind of like this. So, he has haste. When he enters the field, reveal the top 3, add a class 0 Cadet among them to your hand, and return the others to the bottom. And then he has a special for 1 CP, or 1 win CP, and obviously a copy of 8. Choose a forward, deal it 8,000 damage. The reason that I like this card, though, is because Cadets have so much special potential anyways. He literally, on attack, is going to go grab you whatever special is most prevalent right now. Are you worried about auto abilities? Go grab your 7 cancel. Are you worried about a big blocker? Well, just grab another copy of 8 and, activate his special ability, I mean, it's got a lot of combo potential, but it's got a little bit of the luck based into it as well. And I really like that. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to see play with the Wind Lightning version. You might go down on the Lightning 8 because you have to do a point of damage to get back a card from the break zone. And then this will let you mill through the deck to get more backups.
Yeah, that is also true. Yeah, it is just one job class 0 cadet, so it doesn't have to be a forward backup. It could be either, which is really, really cool.
Yeah, seeing as how there's not that many searchers in the deck.
Yeah.
So this will just let you skim it to ramp up on backups.
Yeah. Next we have Asuka. So when Asuka enters the field, you may search for a job Califwelch, I'm assuming is how that's pronounced, of 4 or less and play it onto the field. When he attacks, you choose up to 2 backups and activate them. So 5 CP is pretty hefty, but the fact that you get a 4 cost or less onto the field is actually pretty decent. And there's some other of this Califwelch that we'll talk about. There's one in Earth, and that kind of seems to be the direction they're pushing. There's Marsalga, this guy right here. So there's going to be some synergies here. Yeah, he is 4 CP or less. But ultimately, it's okay. Like, I don't think it's going to see play at all. I think this is too niche. It's a super new job that we're getting. I don't think we've ever seen this job be prevalent in any way. If we haven't, I don't know if we've ever seen it on a card before. I'm not going to say we haven't, but yeah, I don't think this sees play at all, truthfully.
Yeah, I don't either. It's just like a toned down Tyvus. It's crazy how those get all FFB.
Yeah, also true. So, Grahatia. This is such an interesting card. I'll just go ahead and say I don't think it's going to see play whatsoever. Me being me though, I know that I'm going to try to do something dumb and try to break this card, but this is a hefty paragraph. So when he enters the field from your hand, reveal the top 5 cards of your deck. Return them to the bottom of your deck in any order. What we cared about, though, is if there were 3 or more different elements among the revealed cards, you get to draw 2 cards. If there were 5 or more, also during this turn, the cost required to cast your next card is reduced by 4. If there were 8 or more, also remove all characters your opponent controls and all cards in your opponent's break zone from the game. Okay, so let's go back over this, right? So we're going to reveal the top 5 cards. If there are 3 or more different elements among them, you're going to draw 2 cards. If there are 5 or more, you're also, right? So that's the important part. You're also, during this turn, the next thing that you do is going to be reduced by 4. And then if there were 8 or more, you're also going to remove all the characters your opponent controls and all the cards in your opponent's break zone from the game, right? So out of those 5 cards, let's talk like best case scenario. You're going to have 4-color wool. You're going to have Zeramis. You're going to have a light and a dark card, right? So the likelihood that you pull this off to see all 8 elements is extremely low, astronomically low. Like, we're talking, you're going to have to set up some sort of loop with maybe Arden, the Black Mage loop, something like that. You're going to have to churn through your entire deck and then stack it with Artemisian or something like that. Like we've gone through these loops before. And you're going to basically reveal those 5, destroy everything they have, draw 2 cards, and whatever, right? I don't think this sees play whatsoever. But I think it's such a cool effect. And it's one of those, like, it's a classic Final Fantasy card where it's like, hey, here's this thing that you can do, but it's like the chances of doing it are like, 1 in 100,000, or whatever the actual math would be. But I think it's a really, really, really cool card.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I just don't think it's going to see play.
I don't either. Next we have Pinello. So getting close to our Fran that we talked about. Pinello's a pretty contested name, which is why I hate the fact that this is a card named Pinello, but I get it. 1 CP, 3K, dual 3 active, Job, Sky Pirate. anything, right? Backup, forward, doesn't matter. Draw a card. You can only use it once per turn. That's kind of a bummer. Put Pinello into the break zone, though, and choose one auto ability. Cancel its effect. You can only use this ability if you control 3 or more drop Sky Pirates. So, here's the thing. I think this gives some more validity to Wind. Now, obviously, the classic mono Wind that we've seen over the course of the last couple of years doesn't lean in any shape or form towards Sky Pirates whatsoever. But I think this adds so much more to a mono Wind having cancel options, because you already have Fina, right? Giving it a Pinello that's literally a 1 CP cancel anything is really, really cool. Is it worth giving up the other Pinellos? Is it worth, I think if you're not in mono Wind and you don't have the option to play Fina, then this is definitely a valid, option that you should be looking at. I think we will see it being played because it's 1 CP and you can dull 3 active Sky Pirates to draw a card, which is already what Wind kind of wants to be doing, especially if the forwards that I'm using aren't going to be attacking this turn, because Wind doesn't care to attack unless it needs to, right? Unless it's ready to start pushing the progression of the game into the next stage, it's not going to attack. I just don't know that this, if I'm going a dedicated Sky Pirate build, I don't know that this is better than the other Sky Pirate, or the other Pinello, because the one that's reduced by 1 for each Sky Pirate you control and you just get to draw a card for free anyways, it's almost the same. It's not necessarily the same, but I don't know. I think it's 2 out of 5. I think it'll see play, but it's not going to be very prevalent at all.
Yeah, I don't think.
Oscar was definitely more of a Sky Pirate guy than I was. Although I will be getting into Sky Pirates because of the Fran. But I don't think it's super prevalent.
Yeah, I put Sky Pirates to the side because it became more of a Cat 12 deck than the Sky Pirates. I just don't know this sees that in that particular build, but definitely maybe it'll, like you said, turn mono Wind back towards Sky Pirates, like backups.
Yeah. Next, let's talk about this Fran. I think this Fran has some very, very good potential. So 2 CP backup, and if we want to just peruse this Vaughn again really quickly, it does play off of the Vaughn. But tap it, choose a Sky Pirate that you control. If it deals damage to a forward this turn, the damage increases by 2,000 instead. So here's the thing. That Fran paired with the Opus 21 Balthier, I want to say. The Balthier that basically says if you have a Wind character that enters your field, Opus 21. Choose a forward your opponent controls, deal it 3k for every Wind character that enters your field. So if I am in some sort of mono Wind type of shell, which is definitely where I would be taking this idea, and I can activate Fran multiple times in a single turn off of Evray or whatever, I can increase the damage that Balthier outputs by 2k, possibly 4k, possibly 6k, depending on how many times I'm going to increase or reactivate her. So I think that there's some validity in this Fran being kind of a weird Noctis style, like Opus 16, right? The starter deck Noctis, like the fact that I can play a character and then shoot something for a dumb amount. I mean, think about if this Pinello enters the field, Balthier is going to trigger, and I'm going to tap the Fran in response. I just paid 1 CP to deal something 5k, and that's what Mono Wind's already doing anyways, right? So I'm already going to be playing cards for low value, drawing cards so they can storm. So the more that I storm, the more that I get to deal damage, and I just think that's really interesting. I don't think it sees play, funny enough.
Nah,
but
definitely not.
I think it's a really funny idea, so I'm gonna do it. Alright, so let's move on to Rex here. So, at the beginning of your main phase 1, during each of your turns, put Rex into the break zone. When you do so, draw 2 cards. So I got to thinking about this card today a little bit. I think this card helps a little bit of a really, really, really old archetype that no one touches anymore because it's grown so heavily out of favor. Bart's Boko, this is really, really cool because I think the fact that you can play it, attack with it, deal some damage, and then the following turn, you're going to draw 2 cards. So effectively, you'll draw 2 for turn, draw 2 because he goes to the break zone, and then you can just swing and bring another one out. Right? You can loop this guy for, 3 turns if that's what you want to do, and you'll just have this insane amount of draw power attached to it. I think that's a really, really cool idea. I don't think it's enough to bring Bart's Boko back. I don't think this card sees play whatsoever, but yeah, that's about all I got for him. I don't think he's going to do anything outside of that.
Yeah, that's probably it.
Yeah. Next we have Ignis. Gosh. If you control a card named Noctis, the cost required to cast him is reduced by 2, so very reminiscent of our Gladiolus that we had from the starter decks. Dole 2 active job retainer. Can be forward, backup, doesn't matter. Choose an ability that is choosing a Noctis or a job retainer that you control and cancel the effect. So really, really want to call out that Yuna was an intended style of play that they wanted to push. I mean, we saw it obviously in Opus 25 with Yuna herself. In Opus 26, we saw a bunch of cards that doled, this, that, and the other to do this, that, and the other. And we're still seeing it in Opus 27. So I really, really like that style of gameplay because it gives those decks that weren't already doing something with some forwards some more things to do. And I'm all for that. I think this card doesn't do enough for retainers to bring it back, and I think it's too narrow in scope to see play because it's only Noctis or job retainer. Because of that, I don't think it sees play at all.
Yeah, definitely not. I don't think it will.
Also, the old Ignis was probably more prevalent for your Earth, Wind, Storm. I don't think you need this style of effect. I think the other Ignis was doing more for you in that style deck, so I don't even think this replaces the old Ignis. So, yeah, because of that, it just doesn't see play. Next, we're going to talk about Wuk Lamat. Wuk Lamat? I don't know how this girl, sorry, it's Princess, so I don't know how to pronounce that. The cost required to cast Wuk Lamat is reduced by 1 for each category 14 character that you control. Very cool because it can become 0. When it declares an attack, choose one of the following. Choose a backup of 4 or greater and break it. I love it. And then reveal the top card of your deck. If it is a category 14 character, add it to your hand. That's actually really good. I really, really like that. Job Princess is interesting. I'm trying to think if there's any kind of obviously in Earth Water this would kind of do good. I don't know if there's a big Earth Water 14 deck that could see play. If we're already in Earth, maybe it's a multi-element deck. Or if you're just in some sort of shell where you're just playing a bunch of 14 characters, like the Xenos deck that I've toyed around with for a little bit. It's heavily category 14. Scions, I don't know that you'd want to play this in Scions, but it probably wouldn't be the end of the world. I mean, I don't want to, but I don't hate it at the same time. I don't think it sees play personally. I don't know about you.
Nah, I don't think it will see much play, but a pretty cool card.
It is a cool card. I did not realize that's what it did. Erenville. So this is our pre-release promo. It is an EX burst, but when Erenville enters the field, you may search for a 14 forward and add it to your hand. You could possibly search for Wuk Lamat. And then for an Earth, tap and put it into the break zone. Choose a card, Wuk Lamont. Whoa! And then add it to your hand. So there's some obvious synergy that they're looking to push here. I am not a 14 guy. I don't know anything about the game. So obviously there is some synergy with them somewhere outside of the card game. But very pretty full art. I'm 100% sure this is going to look beautiful in real life. But I don't think this sees play whatsoever. No, hang on. If there is an interesting angle to 14 that uses Earth, I could see this. I know that Earth... There's some people that really like the Earthy Stola. But if we're talking, is it going to see play at Worlds? No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think he's so either. Pretty cool at CX, though.
Yeah. Next, we're going to go to Kryl. So when Kryl enters the field, if there are 3 or more different elements among characters that you control, look at the top 4 cards of your deck, add a card among them to your hand, return the other cards to the bottom of the deck in any order. So that's actually pretty good already. Then for 3 CP, tap it. If the cost to use this ability, holy moly, was paid with CP of 3 or more different elements, play a character of 5 or less from your hand onto the field. You can only use this ability during your main phase. So I think there's obvious synergy with the Grahatia up there. Being able to play multiple elements in the same deck. This is what Kryl's looking for in and of itself. Grahatia is looking for it when it's played from your hand. For the Grahatia, that's kind of like what this is going for. So I think that's, it's a synergy. Is it a good one? Not something that I'm jumping at the bit to do. But I really think this art is beautiful. I really like that it's 2 CP. I think this is going to do something. I just don't know what it's going to do yet. I think it's like a 2 out of 5. I think it's probably going to be there, but I don't think it's going to be everywhere.
Yeah, it's pretty nice art. What is usually Kryl's job with this being Pictomancer?
So this Kryl is specifically from 14. It's not the same Kryl that you would think of from like Category 5, the backup Kryl. It also throws me and others for a loop because it's the job for this is Pictomancer 14. It's not just a regular Pictomancer for whatever reason, because technically Realm is a Pictomancer, right? Please don't hate me if that's incorrect, but she draws in the game. She draws monsters. All right, so Pictomancer just makes sense. But yeah, that Kryl in particular is just a Pictomancer from 14.
Sure.
Next, we have Cindy. I think this card sees play. I'll just go ahead and put. I think this is like a 4 out of 5. I definitely think that this is going to do something. If Alex Hancock's did anything for the Verstale Ultimecia Arden style deck that we saw back at that whatever European tournament that was at, that he got like second or whatever it was. I think this Cindy is really, really interesting for that style of deck. So if Cindy's on the field, she can produce Ice or Lightning CP. So she is a tricolor sort of kind of producer. She's not a multi-element backup. Let's get that out of the way. But she can produce Ice or Lightning, which means in a Earth Ice deck, this is a very solid backup to have. In a Earth Lightning deck, this is a very solid backup to have. Also, when she enters the field, reveal the top 5 cards of your deck. Add up to 1 Earth and up to 1 Ice or Lightning card among them to your hand, and return the other ones to the bottom of your deck. Very similar to the Terra that we see up here in the way that it's worded. This Terra obviously covers Fire, Wind, and Lightning. This Cindy covers Earth, Ice, and Lightning. So, for whatever reason, water is just left out of the picture. But I think this card's good. 6 CP potentially adds you up to 4 CP back to hand, so it's a 2 CP backup in essence, which is already, again, with the Verstale kind of deck is trying to do. It churns through cards. It sets up to do a lot with very little resources, and I think this is great. It's a really, really good card.
Yeah, I think it could see play.
Next, we have Prompto. So the card named Noctis forward you control gains Brave, and this forward can attack twice per turn. Interesting. At the beginning of the attack phase during each of your turns, if you control a card named Noctis forward, card named Ignis forward, and card named Gladiolus forward, your opponent selects one forward of the highest cost that they control, and they put it in the break zone and you draw a card. So this Prompto is really, really cool. Again, I think it falls victim to the starter Prompto being so much better. The fact that your Noctis can attack twice in the same turn, I love it. I love being able to attack twice with the same forward. The condition to have all the forwards on the field was such a, it's such an idea from the starter deck that I think it's like solid in theme. I just don't think that it sees play. I don't think the retainer package that we're seeing thus far is good enough to bring it back on the map. I just 0 out of 10 or 0 out of 5. I don't think it sees play at all.
Yeah, they gotta have something that'll play them onto the field.
Yeah, maybe we'll get like a I don't know. They're probably gonna make it like an 8 CP Noctis that reveals the top 10 cards of your deck and play any retainer, any 2 retainers. They're not gonna make it completely busted. Next we have Marsalga. So he cannot become dull to your opponent's summons or abilities, and if you control a Job Khalid Welch other than himself, he gains Brave. So 4 CP, 9k, not a bad stat line. Just it might as well be vanilla, in my opinion. Like he doesn't do enough. Even if you're playing him off of free, I don't think he's doing enough to bring this job into the limelight. 0 out of 5. I don't think it sees play. Next we have Ridar. So this guy made some waves. If you control 3 or more forwards, he gains if he has dealt damage by your opponent's abilities. The damage becomes 0 instead. And then for 0 CP, choose a forward you control other than himself. During this turn, the next damage dealt to it is dealt to him instead, and you can only use this ability once per turn. Okay, very cool, because it's a knight, it's Earth CP, which is way off brand. The only thing that really Earth is doing is as a byproduct of the 2 CP Deleta. But it is a knight. It could be played off Karilla, and I think Karilla is probably the best companion for it. Being able to protect your Ramza, being able to protect your Karilla, I would argue that you kind of don't want to protect the Karilla. Like when I play knights, I want you to kill my Karilla because I want to be able to play another one. But being able to protect those cards when it's important to protect those cards is important. Being able to protect your Laswell, because Laswell has a huge target on him, is important, right? I think this is interesting. I think it's going to see play. I think there's going to be people that try to squeeze it in, and I think it's going to do something. I don't know if it's the right way to be playing knights. I don't think there's many Earth Knights that we really want to be playing. But 2 out of 5. I think it'll see play.
Yes, it could. I know there's the backup. What is it, Balo or something? I think he's a knight.
Yep, he is.
Yeah, so you can have 9 cards in there.
Also true. Next we have Arden. So when a forward your opponent controls is put from the field into the break zone, reveal the top card of your deck. If it is a lightning card, add it to your hand. When Arden enters the field, you choose a forward and break it. I remember when this card was revealed and everybody was upset that the EX burst is on the top effect, not the bottom effect. 7 CP is pretty hefty. When a forward your opponent controls is put from the field into the break zone. That's also... I don't think this sees play at all. I think it's way too expensive. I think the EX is not as relevant as if it was on the other effect. It's got too many things wrong with it. Like it's really good, except they like accidentally printed the wrong things in the wrong spot.
Yeah.
Next we have Adele, specifically Category 8 Adele. So when Adele enters the field, you may remove one job witch in your break zone from the game. When you do so, he gains 1,000 power, and he cannot be chosen by your opponent's abilities of characters of 4 or less. That does not end at the end of the turn. That's kind of cool to begin with. But then when he attacks, you choose a forward your opponent controls and break it. That's also really cool. Specifically because if we want to pair that with the old Seifer, the old Legend Seifer, we are essentially breaking 2 things every turn when we attack. So we're getting to be aggressive, and we're also getting to control the board a little bit. So I really, really like that. And there's going to be plenty of witches because he himself is a witch. There's going to be Adias, Ultimicias if you're kind of in more of a Category 8 heavy deck. But see, this is the way that we make Category 8 cards that don't have to be in Category 8. Well, these are cards that you can remove Mayas if you want to. If you want to be in a lightning water version, just saying. Card's good. I don't think it sees play. I don't think it's got a good enough shell around it to make it see play. I will definitely be playing it because it's Category 8, but other than that, I don't think it sees play.
Yeah, I'm on the same page.
Next, we have Adia. So when she enters the field, you may search for a Category 8 character of 2 or less and play it onto the field. At the end of each of your turns, if you control 4 or more Category 8 characters, draw a card. I'm very contested on this card. The old Adia is such a powerhouse of just board control in general, I would say. I think this does a lot in terms of helping you set up. I want to see this card early, but I don't at the same time. It's 5 CP, which means I, on curve want to be playing this turn 2. But I don't really... It's not going to be... That's too early because then I'm going to be establishing a character of 2 or less, but am I going to have enough characters to be drawing a card? It feels like that's probably a turn 3 play. If it's a turn 3 play, then it's kind of weird in the way that it works. I don't know. It's also a moddable. I don't know if this is better or worse than the old Adia. I think it just fits a different play style. I think it fits in a different deck than the old Adia does. I think the old Adia was more aggressive. It wanted to control the board more, whereas this Adia is much more of I'm going to sit here and try to gain value over the course of a couple of turns. I do love the fact that it is a character of 2 or less that it plays onto the field, because that means you can get Sid Kramer, and Sid Kramer is probably the most important thing that you can go grab with this, especially early game. Although, like I said, I don't know if it's worth pitching 3 cards to play this card to go get 1 backup of 2 CP. That kind of feels bad, but yeah, that's kind of where I'm at on it. I don't think it sees play at all. It's just heartbreaking.
Yeah, I think it just needs some experimenting with 8 to see what the right package is.
Now, we're going to talk about it when we get down here, but I do think it's intended to go play this Seifer. But again, we'll talk about that in a second. Next, we have Gilgamesh. So this is probably one of my favorite cards that's been spoiled so far. The job warrior forwards and the card name warrior forwards that you control gain brave, and this forward can attack twice in the same turn. When Gilgamesh enters the field, choose up to 2 forwards and dole them. And then for a measly special of just a copy of Gilgamesh, choose a forward and break it. Gilgamesh gains haste. There's a lot of good things on this card. There's a lot of fun things on this card. I think that there is just there's got to be some fun shenanigans in like a Earth, Lightning, Hoshmal, like OTK style deck. Obviously those play styles never really like take off anywhere. Like, yes, they're fun, they're cool, you get to do cool things like once in a while, but it's kind of one of those things where like, yeah, I did it that one time. I can kind of I can unsleeve all these cards and never have to play them again. But I don't know, man. He's a 5 CP 9K. He gives himself the ability to attack twice per turn. It's really fun. I like it. I think we're going to see it. Because it's a warrior, I think we're going to see it. I don't know how it's going to be fit into the current landscape. I don't know where it's going to fit necessarily, but I'd say a 1 out of 5 in terms of likelihood that we see it.
Yeah, that's probably all right.
Next we have Coral. So in the same kind of pattern that we've seen before, when he enters the field, choose a forward of 2 or less, break it. For 1 lightning, tap him, put him in the break zone, choose a forward of 4 or less, and break it. One of the more playable ones, essentially 5 CP to break 6 CP worth of forwards. I think that's a decent conversion. There's more effective ways to do it, I believe, but not terrible. Not a terrible rendition of the monster. Just, again, not a very solid cycle in my opinion. I don't think we see it play. I don't think it sees play at all.
No, I don't think it will.
Next, we have Koana. So, when Koana enters the field, you may search for a Category 14 character of 2 or less and play it onto the field. And then 1 colorless, tap him, choose a forward and dull it. Interesting. I mean, so I think what they're intending us to do here is play this Urianger, which is very solid. The Urianger kind of produces lightning CP when he's on the field, so like that makes sense. Like that's what they want us to go get. But there's other things that we can go get. Obviously, this Thancred that we're getting ready to talk about. There's a ton of Category 14 characters that are 2 or less, so we can all play those, right? What I find interesting though is you can play this in Scions as a really like weird chain to go get some things, right? So you can play Sarah. Sarah searches a prince. You can go grab your Koana. Next turn, you can play the Koana and go grab your Tataru or whatever 2CP backup you want to play. And you kind of like do this weird chain to go grab some stuff, which is cool because Scions is one of those kind of like tempo-y, mid-rangey style of decks that kind of wants to set up a little bit before it really like kicks in and does its thing. And this kind of does that. I think it sees play because of that. I personally just don't think it's my cup of tea, but probably another 1 out of 5. I think it'll see play, but not very often.
Yeah, I don't think it'll see much play. You can play it with your Rala.
Also true. You can pay 1 CP, tap him to choose 1 forward and dull it and break a forward that your opponent controls because you dulled your own Rala. I like it. It's very much of a roundabout way of doing things, but next we're going to talk about Seifer. Just checking to see if there's a full art of this because it's blurry, but I think it's going to look cool in person. So 2 CP forward. When he enters the field, choose one of the following. So choose a forward of 2 or less and break it, and choose a forward of 5 or less if you control a job which and break it. He does have a special for S and 3 CP, 2 of which are lightning. You choose a forward and break it. I'm not sold on. I think the other Seifer is so much better. The fact that the Adia can pull this out of the deck is one thing, but I'd much rather, if I'm going that route, maybe this Adia plays the Raijin, which, pulls, that out of deck, and then I hardcast the Seifer. I think that's probably better. I don't know. I'm not like completely, I don't hate this, but because he's a seed candidate and he's not, wait. Let me double check, make sure before I, rattle off some stuff that's not even true. Okay, so he does target specifically card name Seifer. So that's interesting. I think this Seifer may do something, but 2 CP, break a 2 or less, or break a 5 or more, right? Or no, a 5 or less. If you control a witch, you get to break it. Okay, so I could see this Seifer being paired with the old, or the Mill Raijin and Fujin. But I think if we're playing the Mill engine, we play the old Seifer anyways, because he kind of just fits into that package. So I don't know. I'm not sold on the Seifer. I do think that the old legend is better. Yeah, that's all I have to say. I don't think it's going to see play over the old one, and if we're talking that.
Yeah, I think it just, like I said, it needs somebody to tinker with it to straighten it out.
Now, I will say, like, 5 CP to play a 2 CP, which breaks a 5 or less. I do like the idea of we paid 2.5 CP, so to speak, to get these 2 cards out onto the field. They were on average 2.5 CP apiece, and they broke a 5 CP forward. That's not bad. But, yeah, I don't know. Still don't like it. I like being able to attack, like with this Adele, and just clear board that way. That's funner. Although there's way more opportunities for it get to be removed before then. But anyways, moving on to Thancred. When Thancred enters the field, choose a forward your opponent controls, deal it 4k. If you control a card named Kawana, deal it 7k instead. And then for 0 CP, choose a 14 character, or 14 forward, that you control and activate it. You can only use this ability once per turn. I will go back to exactly what you said a while ago. 1 CP tap, choose a forward, dull it, and 0 CP to activate it. So some Rala shenanigans could be had, although I don't think that's probably the best thing to be doing there. I think the best thing to be doing is messing around with Opus 16 Y'shtola. I think if we don't get a Legacy full art of that, then I'm going to cry a little bit, because that's such a fun card to be able to kind of tinker with. But Thancred's good. I don't think it sees play. It's so someone at locals kind of spoiled, but if you notice, none of the 14 characters that are normally Scions are Scions. So it kind of like, yeah, doesn't really mesh well with the current Scions that we know and love. But anyways, choosing a category 14 that you control and activate it is really, really cool, especially when you have the ability to give it first strike with the Opus 16 Y'shtola. It's a very solid defensive play. But 0 out of 5, I don't think it sees play at all.
Yeah, I don't think it sees much play. Just the activating the Rala, but I still don't think that's the way to go.
Next we have 9. So when 9 enters the field, choose 1 forward. If you control a fire character, deal it 9k. When he enters the field, if you control a wind character, activate all the backups you control. I actually really like this card. So it fits perfectly into cadets. I don't think there's a ton of tricolor going on right now. I think there needs to be some sort of help in the realm of a color fixer, which Oscar has preached since we got into the game. But other than that, I think a lightning forward that activates all the backups that you control it's really interesting. It's if you control a fire character, if you control a wind character. It's not even cadet specific. So yeah, really, really cool. I like it. I don't think it sees play, but I like it.
Yeah, I don't think it sees play. Just because you're not going to be running a tri-color deck to get all the fix off.
Yeah. Next we have Raijin. So we have a new Raijin. When he enters the field or attacks, choose a forward your opponent controls, deal it 3k. You can dull an active Fujin to choose 1 forward, deal it 5k. So we have not seen a Fujin revealed yet. Alright. So there is potential that we get another Fujin this set, which I can't imagine that we're going to get a Raijin and not a Fujin this set, but whatever that Fujin is could make this really cool. I don't think this sees play over the Mill engine. I think the Mill engine is just too too consistent for this to replace that. I think this is a totally different style of Raijin, and I just don't think it sees play right now.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to replace those other two.
Next, we have Ultimecia. So when Ultimecia enters the field, you may remove 3 Category 8 cards in your break zone from the game. When you do so, choose a forward you gain control of it. Then, if you don't pay 1 CP for each CP required to cast the chosen forward, put it into the break zone. So I've thought a lot about this card, and I really, really like it. I do think that this sees some sort of play. The problem is, what in the hell kind of Category 8 cards are we playing with this? I think this is probably a 1 of or a 2 of in my Category 8 style deck, where we play, we play this off of the Squall, but it's essentially a 4 CP kill something, right? It just, you take control of it, and then I don't have to pay the CP to cast it. I just throw it in the break zone. Or if I want to keep it, then yeah, I can pay the CP to hold on to it. But it's a 4 CP kill something, which is obviously not I'm not ecstatic about the rate, but it's really cool. It's especially cool when you play it for free. Therefore, you have the extra CP to keep whatever you took. So I like it. I just don't think it sees play in Worlds by a long shot.
Yeah, definitely not.
Next, we have Urianger. So when he's on the field, he can reduce lightning CP, and when he enters the field, if you control a Koana forward, draw a card. So obvious synergy with Koana. For again, I am not into 14 whatsoever. I don't know what kind of relation Koana has with all of these people, but obviously there's something. So cool. It draws you a card if you control Koana. I wish it was kind of the other way around. I wish it drew you a card on enter, and then if you had Koana, you could produce lightning CP, but I get it. I don't think it sees play.
No, I don't think so either.
Next, we have the Emperor. So when the Emperor is put from the field into the break zone, you draw a card. Then you can play a card named Emperor of 5 or less from your hand onto the field. Then he has an ability that you can tap and put him into the break zone to trigger that first ability. But also, choose 1 forward your opponent controls until the end of the turn. It loses all abilities and 8,000 power. So we've seen this lose all abilities and lose power style effect. Even there was a Waka a couple sets ago that kind of did that, which is really, really cool because it prevents you from, when I get put into the break zone, I do big things. It prevents that style of effect, which I do like. I think this is a really interesting way to do it, especially the fact that when I do that, I get to draw a card and then play another Emperor onto the field. So obviously there's an Emperor deck out there. It's not something that I think most people are going to jump at the bit to play, but I think this sees play. I really do. I think this is so if you've been following a lot of the competitive scenes from outside of North America, Mono Water did really big things in Japan, and so much so that Ghoul even talked about how he was enticed to play Mono Water for the Australian equivalent of Nationals. I don't know what they called it. I can't remember. Continentals, I think is what they called it. So Mono Water is a thing, right? It's still a solid deck. It's a play style that obviously can hold its own in the current landscape of meta. And this guy is a 2 CP forward who, on death, draws you a card. There's nothing wrong with that. It's almost a reverse style of Blue Worm. Except obviously it's not protected by the monster clause and blah blah blah. There's obviously differences, but if you let it live, I'm then going to kill you and still draw a card. So I think it sees play. I think it's like a 4 out of 5. I really do.
Yeah, I think this will see play. I like this card.
Yeah. Next we have Go-Go, a very interesting card. So it does have back attack. You can only cast Go-Go during your opponent's turn, which is interesting. When Go-Go enters the field due to your cast, you choose 1 auto ability triggered from your opponent's forward, cost of 4 or less, and Go-Go does the exact same thing. Now, very interesting because I think this has room at a very extremely high level to do some really nasty shenanigans. Think about Firewater Warriors. If I'm going up into a room with some of the better players in the world, would it behoove me to include this into my deck if I'm already expecting a lot of mirror matches with Firewater Warriors? Because when they play their Tyvus, I can play this Go-Go and go ahead and search for a warrior myself, right? I think it's kind of interesting, and I think the ceiling on this guy is extremely high. But I don't know that it's good enough to see play in the current landscape. Like, I don't know if anybody's willing to risk playing this card. For that, I'm going to give it like a 1 out of 5. I think it's likely that we'll see it, but probably not.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty cool card. I don't necessarily know that it'll see play in Cat 6. You know, it's how the other Go-Go is very good in that deck. But it is pretty cool that it ups the water count for Cat 6.
Yeah, and it's always special fodder for the Opus 15 Go-Go as well. Next we have Sin. So an 8 CP 10k body. When Sin enters the field due to your cast, you may remove 15 cards in your break zone from the game. If you do so, your opponent selects up to 2 forwards they control and up to 1 backup they control. Select as many as possible and put them into the break zone. Now, when this was initially revealed, I am calling it that this will be a one-of in every Leo deck that's out there. Other than that, I don't think this ever sees play. So for that reason, if there's a madman out there, I think this is a 1 out of 5 because there's going to be that one guy that's playing Leo at Worlds, and I think he should include this as a one-of in that deck. That's it. That's all I got.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that 10k beat stick after that.
Yeah. Next we have Tidus. So each forward that you control with a Guardian counter on it gains, if this forward is dealt damage by abilities, reduce the damage by 5k instead. When Tidus enters the field, choose 1 forward, place 1 Guardian counter on it and Tidus, which is kind of cool. For 2 CP, 1 water, 1 colorless, all the forwards you control gain plus 1000 power until the end of the turn. This would have been a sick card to play with Yuna. The fact that she was 5,000 CP 5,000 power to begin with. This just would have been so cool. I really like this. Now, if you're a complete masochist and you want to try to protect Laswell in some sort of like ice water type of situation, maybe this sees play. I don't know. I don't think this is 0 out of 5. There's no way this sees play at Worlds.
Yeah, it's 0 for me. Too many Tiduses out there.
Next we have Tonberry. When Tonberry enters the field, choose 1 forward. It loses 2,000 power until the end of the turn. And then for a water, tap and put him into the break zone. Choose a forward with 8,000 power or less and break it. I don't think this out Tonberries the previous Opus 19 Tonberry.
No.
Minus 2,000. If this was a 2 CP Tonberry, I could see it. Minus 2,000, and even then, if it was a 7,000 CP or less, break it. I could see that, but I just don't see it. It's not going to happen. Next, we have Ninja. When Ninja enters the field, choose 1 forward. It gains when this forward deals damage to your opponent. Draw 1 card until the end of the turn. I like this card only because if I pair it with Yuffie, it could potentially draw me a lot of cards. But it's only until the end of the turn, which is kind of unfortunate. And if I'm playing it in some sort of ninja shell, then it's effectively a 1 CP colorless backup. It's okay, but I don't think this sees play at all.
No, I don't think so either.
Oddly enough, pairing this with Tross or something could be really interesting. Pairing it with anything that's kind of unblockable could be cool, but I just don't think it's very prevalent. It's probably like a 1 out of 5 because the fact that it draws a card, I could see somebody trying to mess with it, but other than that, I don't think it's going to do anything. Next we have another Yuna. She does have an EX burst. When Yuna enters the field, choose one card named Tidus in your break zone, add it to your hand. Yuna cannot be chosen by your opponent's summons. 0 out of 5. I don't see why we were playing this Yuna. There's not a Tidus that I care about adding back from my break zone, especially when the best Tidus in the game never touches the break zone in and of itself. Or it never stays in the break zone. Sorry, let me put it that way. He does technically touch the break zone. So then we have Cecil, our light legend. We do have hopefully a dark legend in this set, but obviously it hasn't been revealed yet. So this Cecil, I completely misread it. I think that the wording on this Cecil is atrocious and it should be reworded, but it is an action ability for 0 CP. Choose a forward other than Cecil. Until the end of the turn, Cecil and the chosen forward lose power of any value less than Cecil's power. Units must be in terms of 1,000. You can only use this ability during your opponent's turn and only once per turn. Also really weird. You can discard a light card and he gains 1,000 power. 10,000 power. Okay. I do agree with KP when he was reading this card that because it's a Dark Knight and a Paladin, this would have been the perfect time to do a light/dark card, like a multi-element card. That would have been super sick. I discard a light card is so terrible. Like, I'm not a fan of like giving this guy plus 10,000. Vegnagun did it right in my opinion. Discard a dark card, draw a card in its place. This guy, discard a light card, gain 10,000 power. I get it. It's to be able to use his other ability, but I don't like this card. I don't like it at all. The reason I said that it's worded terribly is because you choose a power for it and Cecil to lose. And that, I wish that it would have said, like, choose one forward other than Cecil. Until the end of the turn, choose, declare X. X has to be in terms of 1,000. Cecil and the chosen forward lose X amount of power until the end of the turn. Like, that would make so much more sense to me. But anyways, I don't like this card. I hope it doesn't see play.
Yeah.
1 out of 5.
No, I don't think it will.
I think somebody's going to do something stupid with it, but I'm just not a fan at all. Next, we have our multi-element LBs, and I am super hype about some of these guys. So Firion, one of the ones that I am hype about. When he enters the field, choose up to 3 fire backups or wind backups. Activate them. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck. Add a card among them to the top of your hand and to your hand and return the other cards to the bottom of your deck in any order. 7 CP is pretty hefty. 5,000 power is pretty terrible. He is a warrior for what it's worth. Fire Wind, lots of good things, but there's no reason to be playing Fire Wind. Pretty terrible. I mean, maybe you're playing Charlotta in like a mono wind style deck to be able to produce fire CP for, whatever reason, and boom, you want to play this guy, but yeah, he's got a lot of good things going on, but 2 of the weirdest elements to be in. I just don't see it. Full art's gonna look amazing though.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it's
that's sweet.
Gonna see a whole lot of play.
That is sweet.
It's still only 5K.
Yeah, it's again he's I don't know. It's too much. I just can't get over Firewind. It's a terrible combination to be in right now. Please, Hobby Japan, give us something that makes Firewind good. I've got a lot of cool ideas. Next, we have Robel Akbel. So, when he enters the field, choose a character if you control 5 or more fire and or earth backups. Break it. Cool, I guess. Like, I'm not... it's kind of what Earth wants to be doing. Earth can produce fire very, very easily. There's no reason it couldn't play this card, even in mono Earth. The fact that it's just choose one character, just straight up any character. It can be Shantoto, it can be 4-color Wolt. Like, it doesn't matter. Just break it. Just straight up break it. I like that. I just think 7 CP that late in the game where you have 5 backups is I think 2 out of 5. I think people are gonna play it for sure, but it's not my style. It's not my thing.
Yeah, maybe in a mono Earth just as an extra card to go into.
Or even the Cat 7 Earth Fire whatever Avalanche, the new one with new Barrett and all that.
Yeah.
Next we have Shadow Lord. So this guy just oozes Opus 19 Emperor to me. So when he enters the field, choose up to 2 characters. If you control 4 more ice characters, you get to dull and freeze them. If he enters the field, choose a character in your break zone. If you control 4 more earth characters, add it to your hand. So 2 separate abilities, which is really cool. Which means you could obviously get both effects off. And this is going to be a common theme against some of these guys where, Vaughn, I think, is the only other one that's like... Yeah, Vaughn is the other one that's kind of like set up in the same fashion where if you control X, then do X. If you control X, then do Y or whatever. But, he's okay at best. I don't think it's very prevalent. Earth, obviously Earth can, produce ice very easily. Same thing with Robo Black Belt, but I just don't think that this is important. And the fact that if you control 4 more ice characters, if you are playing this in mono Earth, you're not going to get both effects very often. So it really is an Earth Ice card, and yeah, there's just not too much Ice Earth going around right now. 0 out of 5. Next we do have the Emperor. Haha. We already talked about an Emperor this video. But when he attacks, choose a forward and dull it. I do like that. And when the Emperor leaves the field, you can search for a card named Emperor and add it to your hand. I don't know what in the world you'd be doing playing Lightning, Ice, and Water all in the same deck. But if you want to, there's an Emperor from this set that you can, play around with. But I don't think Lightning I don't think Ice Lightning necessarily needed anything from this card. Like, choose a forward and dull it, like when he attacks, is cool. Don't get me wrong. But, okay. Like, I don't know what Emperor I would really be shooting for. I just don't think Emperor. I don't think there's a good Emperor in Ice or Lightning that, like, I really, like, that jumps out at me right now. I just don't think there's anything in there. I don't think this sees play.
No, I don't think so either.
Next, we do have Onion Knight. When he leaves the field, you may play a DFF forward of 4 or less from your hand onto the field dull, which is a bummer. And then you can put him into the break zone to choose a 4 to 4 or less and break it. So this guy, though, this guy. I don't know if there are very many cadets that see play that are DFF, but I do want to double check because that is such a cadets card. It's crazy. So DFF and then job cadet. Okay.
Cadets or ninja?
I'm calling it a cadet because when he leaves the field, you can play 1 DFF forward of 4 or less from your hand onto the field dull, and then you can put him into the break zone, obviously, to activate that first ability, to choose a forward of 4 or less and break it. So you can break something, and then you can play any of these cadet forwards, which only reason I'm saying cadet is because lightning and wind.
Lightning.
Yeah. I think it's kind of an interesting play. Maybe I think the other queen's probably better at this point, right? So maybe Sice. Mm-hmm. But size is already reduced, so maybe that's not the angle that we want to go. But either way, I think it's interesting. I don't think DFF has had much support since Opus 21 when we had that starter deck, but I do like this card. I think it'll see play because it's just.
I do like that it just adds another straight break to cadets, though.
Yeah, that is also true. I think it'll see play. 1, maybe 2 out of 5. Next we have Vaughn, and some people were fairly hyped about this, but personally I am not. When he enters the field, if you control 4 or more wind characters, activate all the backups. When he enters the field, if you control 4 or more water characters, choose a forward, and it loses 8k. So, again, if I'm playing Sky Pirates, this is obviously a neat slot in, although I don't know that I necessarily care. 7 CP, so you're basically tapping all your backups, discarding a card to reactivate all your backups. That's not like stormy at all. I don't see it. I don't like it. I think it's a 0 out of 5 personally. It's way too expensive.
Yeah, I'm not seeing much play on this, but could be wrong.
Next, we do have the Warrior Elite, so 7 CP Wool. Haha. When he enters the field, you can search for a Earth or Water standard unit of 3 or less and play it onto the field. And then whenever a standard unit enters your field, you draw a card and then discard a card. So this guy, I think is kind of cool. So he costs 7, right? You're going to automatically get 3 back from playing that standard unit onto the field. And then you get to draw a card and discard a card. So if you draw a card and then discard a card, you still are technically paying 4 CP overall for this guy. But you got to filter a card, and that's cool. I mean, what's the old saying? You see more cards, you win more games.
Yeah.
1 out of 5. I think it's possible that we see it.
Yeah.
And then last of our main set, before we have the starter cards, is Locke. I really, really, really love this card. He's in the wrong element, though. When Locke enters the field, choose a forward your opponent controls, return it to the hand. When a forward your opponent controls is returned from the field to the owner's hand, your opponent discards a card. This effect will only trigger once per turn. I love that. I love this effect so much. I just have no idea what I'm doing in Water Ice that makes me want to do this. Now, if you remember, Dory was on some kind of weird Water Ice. I think actually Brian was on one too. It was a Realm Water Ice kind of monster deck. I could see that because, Tross being able to bounce and make them discard. That'd be kind of cool. It's very interesting to me that both locks have a way to get around I'm just going to play out my hand so that I can't discard. Well, no, this guy's going to bounce it to your hand and then make you discard it, which is cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
0 out of 5. I don't think it sees play. It's
yeah.
It's a little expensive. It's LB2. I just don't.
A lot of high price limit breaks in this.
Yeah, they're all rare, and I get it. I know rarity's not supposed to mean much, but they all are extremely CP expensive. All right, so really quickly, let's breeze through these starter cards. We personally haven't talked about them on video or anything, but I don't think any of these are extremely prevalent outside of maybe Cloud, and maybe Charlotte. Charlotte not so much anymore because, when they revealed this card, it was like, oh my god, this is the anti-Unitech we've been looking for. And then the ultimate anti-Unitech was just the community pouring out in grievance that it was a terrible designed card. So Cloud being a 3 CP warrior, obviously that means a lot for warrior decks. Is there an Earth Fire warrior style deck? Do you play one of these just to free play off of Tyvis? I don't know. When he enters the field, till the end of the turn, all the forwards you control gain plus 3,000 if I'm not mistaken, and Brave. Then at the beginning of your attack phase during each of your turns, choose a forward you control. Until the end of the turn it gains. This forward cannot be broken, and this forward cannot be returned to the owner's hand. I think that's a decent card. It's not crazy, but the fact that it's a 3 CP warrior, I think, has some validity to it. I think there's like a 1 out of 5 we see it. I don't think we see the luck anywhere. I mean, it is a 3 CP warrior as well. I don't know. I don't know. The Zac, I don't think it's going to do much. The lightning is interesting. Choose one forward of 4 less your opponent controls and break it, but 7 CP is so expensive. When a forward your opponent controls is put from the field into the break zone, choose a forward you control, it gains haste. I like it. It's really cool. I just think it's so expensive. But
yeah, it's kind of high.
Yeah. I do like the Yuna as well. When it enters, you may play a forward of 3 or less from your hand onto the field. When she attacks, look at the top 3. Add a card among them to your hand, return the others to the bottom. That's very cool. If we're going fire water, we could go, Guy, Lunith, and Yuna, and those kind of have some really nice synergies. If those are your 3, like play a forward of 3 or less cards, you could, you'd have 12 cards in the deck that kind of help play your other cards. I kind of like that idea. But yeah, do you have any other thoughts on any of the starter cards?
Not really. I think I've already skimmed over those. Not much.
Yeah. All right. So if you guys were pretty privy to the spoiler season this go around, we actually had a spoiler, and it's hidden in this video somewhere. If you found it, comment and let us know. I'm sure it won't take long, and it'll end up being in the Discord, and everybody will know. But anyways, it was fun to kind of hide it, and it'll be fun to see you guys try to guess which one it is. But other than that, I think that's kind of our thoughts so far. Excited to see the rest of the set. I don't think there's too many surprises that we get. We should have the full set in a couple of days from now. So I'm excited to lose a lot of money, because I know I'm going to buy a bunch of these cards. I'm going to go broke buying Final Fantasy VIII cards. But anyways.
Yeah, luckily there's nothing I'm looking for.
Ah, you son of a bitch.
So far.
Yeah, so far. But alright guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully see you guys sooner rather than later. It's been a while since we've posted. But
yes.
Yeah. See you guys.
See you, man.